The days are getting shorter, the temperatures are dropping, and Christmas is around the corner, which can only mean one thing. Wine Spectator has released its top 10 wines of the year, and of course I'm going to make a video about them. We bought as many wines as we could get from this list, and I'll review them today, telling you what Wine Spectator got right and what they got completely wrong. Let's go. Wine Spectator is still the biggest wine magazine in the world, and it continues to have a significant influence on the wine industry. But wine media is changing quickly. I mean, my YouTube channel has a similar reach as Wine Spectator, so I don't really know how significant the impact of making the top 10 actually is for a winery these days. When we started buying the wines for this video, I assumed that the top 10 are getting more and more expensive, but after looking at the data for the last 6 editions, I realized that this year's top 10 is actually one of the cheapest. Still, these are super premium wines, and personally I would like to see 1 or 2 bottles below $30 in the mix. I mean, we want to keep wine approachable, right? Another criticism, the top 10 only includes 1 white wine. That's silly. I mean, there's so much great white wine being produced right now. However, to be fair, the Aubert Chardonnay is the highest ranking white wine that they've had in years, so that's something. When it comes to the countries of origin, I'd like to see more diversity. Out of the top 10, there are 4 wines from the US, 3 wines from France, 2 wines from Italy, and 1 wine from Chile. I mean, no Spain, Portugal, Germany, Austria, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina. If you've watched my previous videos on Wine Spectator's top 10, I sound like a broken record at this point. And when it comes to diversity of producers, it gets even stranger. 2 of the wineries that were featured in this year's top 10 have been in top 10 lists recently. This year's number 2, Aubert, was also in second place in 2020 with their Pinot, and William Salem's East Side Road neighbor Pinot was also in the top 10 last year. And now they're back with the most recent vintage. I mean, there's a lot of wine in this world, guys. Wine Spectator's reason for including the wine again is as follows.
How did William Selling manage to crack our top 10 2 years in a row? 2023 is a mic drop vintage for California Pinot Noir. It was a cool, even growing season and a late running harvest that allowed the grapes to reach their full potential. This Russian River Pinot dials it up to 11. 2023.
Alright, anyways, let's dive into the wines to see whether they capture the world of wine and whether they truly deserve to be called the most compelling wines of 2025. We're starting off with wine number 10. It's the 2022 Famille Isabel Ferrando Saint-Prefert Chateauneuf-du-Pape from France. According to Wine Spectator, Isabel Ferrando started in 2003 and she left a career in finance behind to become a winemaker. The wine is a blend of Grenache, Cinsault and Mourvèdre, and well, they kind of blend together different parcels into one wine, which is pretty common in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. To be honest, I'm not really sure why this wine made it onto the list. It received 94 points from Wine Spectator. It retails for more than $100. So I don't think there's a price value champion here. And it's probably not the most well-known producer, but yeah, let's find out. Maybe it's exciting new stuff. You never know. What is clear though is that Wine Spectator likes to include Chateauneuf-du-Papes. I guess this style of wine appeals to their target audience. I also like Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I mean, those wines tend to be quite rich and bold and concentrated. But yeah, I do like jammy, rich wine every now and then. So the wine is dark purple. Looks quite concentrated already. On the nose, there's a lot of delicious fruit flavor, ripe cherries, blackberries, and there's a little bit of spice as well. But the fruit is really in the foreground. You also have some character of plums. So this smells delicious. On the palate, this is velvety and rich. There are tannins there, but they are really velvety. I mean, they are not rough and astringent. They are more round and kind of, yeah, really enjoyable. There is quite a bit of alcohol there as well. But if you serve this wine at 16 degrees Celsius, for example, you won't feel it as much. It's really juicy, rich, and concentrated though. There's a certain sweetness there. The tannins come out a little bit more now. I would say this is a 94-point wine. I do like it quite a bit. I do think at this price point, you can find other Chateauneuf-du-Papes that are maybe even more exciting. But yeah, this is definitely good stuff. In ninth place, we have the 2021 Castello di Ama San Lorenzo Chianti Classico Gran Selezione from Tuscany in Italy. Castello di Ama has a strong reputation for producing high quality wines in Chianti. They have vineyards in slightly higher elevations and they produce pretty amazing stuff. I haven't tasted their wines in a while, so I'm looking forward to trying this. The wine is Sangiovese based with some Merlot in the mix, and it's named after the San Lorenzo Valley that you can see from Castello di Ama's facilities, the building. The wine is then aged for 12 months in barriques, and yeah, it received 95 points from Wine Spectator. So the color is definitely intense, quite concentrated, dark purple, slight browning towards the rim, which is probably because of the aging in barrel. I mean, this is not an old wine. It's 4 years old, but yeah, still, the browning is probably from the oxidation that occurred in barrel. Quality-wise, it's on a similar level compared to the previous wine, but stylistically, it's very different. It really jumps at you with lots of fruit flavor. On the palate, there's also quite a lot of juiciness, great acidity and freshness. So this is quite delicious. On the nose, I get a lot of cherry flavor. There's a little bit of smokiness, but not too much oak. And on the palate, it's really juicy with grippy tannins and great fresh acidity. The finish is really long, and this is just really Italian. The vibe is really Italian. So it's just this kind of juicy, fresh, vibrant, structured wine. Delicious stuff. So I'm going to rate this 96 points. I think it's absolutely delicious. And I think it deserves to be in the top 10 because this is quite a unique style. At the same time, it really represents Italian winemaking, Tuscan winemaking. And price-wise, it's not cheap, but it's a bit more affordable than quite a lot of the other wines in the lineup. The next wine is also from Italy and it's even cheaper. It's the 2021 Produttori di Barbaresco from Barbaresco in northern Italy. This wine sells for $57, but in Germany you could find it for 30 euros. Produttori di Barbaresco is a co-op that was formed in the region of Barbaresco in Piedmont, and they really focus on Nebbiolo-based wines from that region. Barbaresco is the neighboring region to Barolo, and in the past it was kind of the little brother of Barolo, but nowadays I think they kind of stand at almost the same level. Barbaresco tends to be a little bit cheaper, but quality-wise there's not a big difference really. So the wine is made from 100% Nebbiolo grapes grown on clay limestone and sandy soils, and it stays for 20 months in large oak barrels. So as you would expect from Nebbiolo based wines, this is quite a bit lighter in color. It's kind of a light ruby red with garnet color towards the rim. But that's just Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo tends to produce lighter colored wines. But it's definitely not a light wine. I mean, Nebbiolo has a lot of flavor, a lot of texture, and can also have quite a bit of alcohol. So this has a beautiful, complex flavor. It smells of strawberries. It also has some peppery, smoky notes. It smells of tar. It smells of roses. So there's a lot going on here. On the palate, it's super structured and concentrated. Nebbiolo has a lot of tannins and good acidity, so you have quite a lot of grip there. The tannins kind of attack your gums, but there's also great freshness on the end. And then there's a lot of body there, quite a lot of structure, quite a lot of stuff going on the palate and in the nose. So this actually contains the same amount of alcohol as the Chateauneuf-du-Pape, but this feels a lot lighter because of the acidity, because of the light color, I guess also. But it's just a wine that has so much to offer, so much complexity, so much lift. So delicious. This is really good wine. I'm going to rate it 95 points. I think it's super complex, super exciting stuff, and it definitely deserves to be in the top 10. I mean, this is a really well-known producer, and many people know that you can find great value here. But yeah, it's just a delicious wine, and yeah, why not put it in the top 10 of 2025. In sixth place, we have the 2021 Clos Apalta from Colchagua in Chile. Clos Apalta is one of the very few wineries in the world that produce super premium wine from the grape variety Carmenère. The 2005 Clos Apalta was Wine of the Year by Wine Spectator in 2008. So it won first place once and now it's back on the sixth place. The wine is a cuvée of 75% Carmenère, 18% Cabernet Sauvignon and 7% Merlot. Like I said before, it's pretty rare that wineries really focus on Carmenère. I mean, it's kind of the grape variety in Chile, the grape variety most associated with Chile at least. But it's still a grape variety that doesn't necessarily always produce great quality. It's often blended in to make a little difference there. But yeah, it doesn't always produce super premium wines. The wine is fermented in large oak vats and then it's aged for 21 months in barriques. So this wine was rated 96 points by Wine Spectator, but it received 98 points from Venice and it received 100 points from James Suckling. So this is definitely really dark, quite concentrated and rich. On the nose, it is powerful. I mean, there's like blueberries, blackberries, cassis, also a lot of oak. I mean, but it's well integrated into the fruit, so it doesn't stand out. I don't mind it if it's kind of this well integrated. On the palate, this is big, really concentrated, 15% of alcohol. The tannins are really fine but grippy. There's good juiciness there. So this is definitely a high octane, really rich and concentrated wine. The retail price for this is $170, which is a lot of money for a bottle of Chilean wine. But I can see, I mean, they've definitely spent quite a lot of money on the winemaking here. Big, concentrated, perfectly made, like really polished. Everything is neat and tidy. What I'm missing here is a bit of character. So I wouldn't rate this 100 points, but I think 96 points is a fair score for this because it's just really well made. And I mean, there's a story here, Carmenère. Yeah, it's not a grape variety that you can find in many wines at this level, so that's kind of exciting. But yeah, I mean, it lacks a little bit of character, I'd say. Do I think this deserves to be in the top 10? I don't know. I mean, as it has already won first place, I probably wouldn't have included it and left this spot for something which is more like cheap or funky or interesting. This just feels like a wine with an interesting story that tastes a little bit like a high-end Bordeaux. Talking about Bordeaux, the next one is the 2022 Chateau Beau-Sejour Becot Saint-Emilion Premier Grand Cru Classé. Juliette Becot started working with her father in 2001 and she took over from him in 2015 and since then has changed a lot of things in the cellar but also in the vineyard. So now the wines have reached a new level, apparently. So as it is common in Saint-Emilion, this is a cuvée of Merlot, Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon. And yeah, let's find out whether it's delicious. I think Bordeaux is at a turning point right now. They've really struggled over the last years. It's very difficult at the top, but also very difficult at the bottom. But there are more and more producers that make really great wines that are not super expensive, but really delicious. This is a little more expensive, but I mean, still something that you can buy for a special occasion. So the US retail price here is apparently $85. Weirdly, it's 100 euros in Germany. So it's more expensive here than in the US, which is, yeah, a bit odd. But as usual, you can find the prices in your market by clicking on the wine searcher links down below in the description. So the wine is dark purple. They are all dark purple, apart from the Barbaresco, but all of the others are quite concentrated. So this smells of ripe black cherries, of a little bit of cassis. There's also some spice notes, some cedar wood character. So this is complex. On the palate, this is really juicy and rich, but the finish is lively and fresh. So there's this beautiful acidity that lifts everything up. Yeah, this is delicious. Saint-Emilion oftentimes has too much power. It's too rich. But this actually, it has power, but it also has some finesse, some elegance there. So I do like this. So I'm going to rate this 97 points. I think it's top notch. And yeah, I mean, it deserves to be in the top 10, I guess. But I probably find some other wines from Bordeaux at a similar quality level that are also exciting, but not cheaper ones, I guess. So yeah, it's a good choice. Coming in third place, we have the 2023 Rich Lytton Springs from Dry Creek in Sonoma in California in the US. Rich is a super famous producer. They have two wineries. One is located in Montebello overlooking Silicon Valley in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And the other one is located in Sonoma, where they produce this wine. The first Lytton Springs they produced was in 1972, and the vineyard is really old with gnarly old vines, producing really concentrated and complex fruit. I'm a big fan of Zinfandel, and I'm also a big fan of Rich. I think they produce amazing wines. This is 76% Zinfandel, 14% Petit Syrah, 7% Carignan, 2% Alicante Bouschet, 1% Mataro. So it's a blend, but the bulk of it is Zinfandel. I really like the fact that they put a lot of information on their label, but they also have a great website where you can find pretty much all of the information you need on each of the wines that they produce. You also get videos, so you get lots of information. It's really top notch. I mean, I wish more wineries would do that. So this is definitely dark ruby in color. I mean, it's black at the core. Zinfandel is another grape variety that produces a lot of color, but if you blend in Alicante Bouschet, Mataro, and Petit Syrah, you get a lot of color addition, and then the wine looks like this. The 2023 vintage apparently was fairly cool. They had a cold winter, and the summer wasn't too hot, and they started harvesting in September, finished in October. So you can, I think, feel that in the wine. It doesn't smell baked. It has those beautiful lifted ripe, but not overripe flavors. So there are notes of raspberries and cherries. You also get some aroma of orange. There is a little bit of spice there. Rich only uses American oak, but it's not that kind of American oak that smells of vanilla and chocolate. It is much more refined. They produce it themselves in order to make sure that they get the right quality. On the palate, this is really rich, concentrated, ripe. The tannins are fine and polished. There's good acidity there. This is just in perfect balance. There's quite a lot of liftedness to it. It's a little bit of VA, but I don't mind it. It's kind of lifting up the flavor. It makes it really aromatic and bright. And VA is something that you can often get with Zinfandel wines, I think. But yeah, this is really beautiful. I think this is absolutely delicious. I'm going to rate it 97 points. And at 50 something US retail price, I think this is actually a pretty good bargain. It will also be difficult to find Zinfandel based wines that are better than this. I mean, this is just so delicious, so aromatic, so pure, so fresh, so vibrant. Great stuff. As a little aside, I always like to go back on those Wine Spectator top 10 lists. And if you go back 30 years, wine number one was the Penfolds Grange, retailing for $100 US, which is obviously would be a bargain today. In second place, we have Camus Special Selection, also at $100 US. In fifth place, we have Comte Georges de Vauquois, Musigny Cuvée Vieille Vigne, 1993, retailing for $140 US. Those were the days. And if you scroll back on that list to 10th place, there's a 1919 Trimbach Riesling Alsace Cuvée Friedrich Emile. 96 points, great wine. And yeah, I'd love to see a Riesling back in the top 10. But now in first place, we have the 2022 Chateau Giscours from Margaux in Bordeaux. It's nice to see this label here. I've been to the estate a couple of times and I do like Chateau Giscours. It's a really nice estate. I haven't tasted their wines in a while, so I'm looking forward to opening this. The winery has been around for a long time. It's under the ownership of a very rich family, as it is often the case with those top estates in Bordeaux. It's managed by Alexandre van Beek, who started as a harvest intern at the estate and has now been there for decades, really turning the winery around and turning it into what it is today. What is obviously nice is that the wine in first place is fairly affordable. It retails for $68. Weirdly, it's more than 80 euros in Germany. Seems to be that the wines from Bordeaux actually retail at lower prices in the US compared to Germany, at least. The other wine from Bordeaux, the Beau-Sejour Becot, was from the right bank, so it was Merlot based. This one is from the left bank and it therefore is Cabernet Sauvignon based. So it's a cuvée of 64% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Merlot, 3% Petit Verdot and 3% Cabernet Franc. According to Wine Spectator, there was no second wine produced in 2022 because the quality of the fruit was just so great that they didn't want to put anything into a second wine and kept everything for the first wine. Usually that reduces the quality of the first wine, but this apparently is really good. But let's see. Again, deep purple, really concentrated in color. On the nose, it smells of blackcurrants, blackberries. There are also flavors of violets. There's a little bit of smokiness, but not a lot of oak flavor. It's really in the background here. On the palate, the wine is really structured, grippy, good freshness, good liveliness. So it doesn't feel heavy at all. 13.5, or what is it? 13.5% of alcohol. So it's balanced, it's fresh, but it still has good concentration. And I think this is just way too young. I mean, good Bordeaux is something that you should keep and drink after 10 years, 15 years. So this one definitely still has a long life ahead of itself. So I'm going to rate this 94 points. I think it's a great wine at a fairly affordable price. And it's definitely something that you should cellar for a bit before really enjoying it, really opening the bottle, but it already drinks quite well. But I definitely would want something to eat with this at this moment in time. All right, this was a delicious tasting. The wines performed really well, but at those price points, you also really expect them to perform well. For me, the best wines of the tasting were, interestingly, the cheapest wines in the tasting. The Produttori di Barbaresco and the rich Zinfandel, the Lytton Springs, were just delicious wines that really stand for something and that are kind of unique and really have a unique kind of flavor profile, and that's what I really love. I think Wine Spectator did a very good job selecting really nice wines for their top 10, but I definitely think that they should mix it up a little bit, bring in more white wines, bring in more different grape varieties and also different stylistic expressions. Most of those wines were kind of rich, concentrated red wines that were aged in barrels, and I think there's so much more in the wine world today. The issue might be that Wine Spectator really caters to their target audience, which I assume is wealthy, male and over 60. And I think they should bring in some other wines that target younger folks, because I guess they also need some younger readers. And in order to do so, they should find wines that match their budget and their palates. Even though I'm not over 60, I still like those wines, and I'm going to revisit them later on to enjoy them some more. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then please like it down here, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I want to get to 200,000 subscribers this year, so I need you to click the subscribe button. But whatever you do, stay thirsty.